fire, air, water, earth. We all know the story behind these 4 elements. We all heard the tales of the Last Airbender thousands of times, and although it isn't as superior as the original, we have obsessed over the Legend of Korra almost as much. But something that may have gotten lost along the way is what these elements mean. As we know, the 4 main elements of the series carry with them a philosophy, a way of being, each being derived from the martial arts they are based on and applied to the culture built around them. Fire is the element of power, based on Shaolin Quan, Northern style Shaolin. This martial art focuses on quick, successive attacks that channel moments of extreme power. It does this by primarily utilizing kicks and punches. This is exemplified in the proud culture the Fire Nation built, a culture that abuses the power they have acquired. Air is the element of freedom! Based on Bakwazan's style, this martial art focuses on smooth, coiling and uncoiling actions. They do this by employing dynamic footwork, throws, and hand techniques. Like the martial arts they are based on, airbenders use swift, evasive maneuvers. Like King Boomy said,
typical airbender tactic, avoid and evade.
As the element of freedom, the culture around it focuses on detachment from the physical and embrace of the spiritual. Water is the element of change. It's based on Tai Chi Chuan. This martial art uses slow, elegant movements that convey the feeling of water ebbing and flowing. It focuses on controlling your opponent rather than harming them. After all, it is based on reading their energy paths, their ki, so the connection to the spirits in this case is clear. As it is the element of change, we see different cultures utilize this element in the show. We have the northern tribe, the southern tribe, and the swamp benders. They all have cultures that vary so much from one another, but still they keep that common thread that binds them together. That being their ability to change and adapt to any situation. Earth is the element of substance, and as such, it draws inspiration from a variety of sources, with them being called Nanguan. These martial arts tend to imitate animals, giving a sense of being rooted to the ground. They use powerful kicks and punches that carry the weight of the entire body, bringing strength to their techniques. This variety creates such diversity in the Earth Kingdom. They are robust, being able to resist anything that comes their way. At the center of all these elements, we have one man, one woman, one spirit. We have the Avatar, master of all 4 elements, the only one who can use the 4 elements to bring peace and balance to the world around him. That is the story we've been told, but that is not necessarily the truth. As we have learned from our beloved Iroh,
it is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.
This is a lesson he bestowed upon Zuko, making him the main example of this philosophy. In the 2nd season finale, Zuko uses a basic waterbending technique, the water ball, in order to attack. Then, during the last Agni Kai, we see him use both airbending with a spinning thingy to return to an upright position, as well as earthbending, a technique he uses to block Azula's attack. That is, of course, aside from the lightning redirection, our main example of cross-bending techniques. We can see this contrast at well by Azula, who only drawing from one source, her techniques grew stale. It is very clear to us from the very beginning that she is stronger than Zuko. After all,
my father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to be born.
But his versatility and skill that he acquired in his journey and from his companions led him to secure victory. Yeah, his sister was mentally unstable and probably did play a part. You can talk all about that in the comments, but still. Aside from Zuko, we have many other examples that showcase this wisdom. During her encounter with Hama, we see Katara summon a wall of water, very reminiscent of earthbending. Zhang uses the wave, a traditional waterbending move in the firebending. In Season 1, when Aang still hadn't even learned waterbending, we see him imitate a firebending move to mirror Zuko, just to fight him. And we have the main man himself, Iroh, He invented lightning redirection by studying how waterbenders adapted and fought. He studied the moves, adapted them, and used them in his own style. But if you look at the subbending arts as a whole, we can see a pattern. Lightning bending has more circular motions, something much more reminiscent of waterbending and airbending than firebending, which is more straightforward movements and direct punches. We see this also reflected in the requirements you need for lightning bending.
To perform the technique requires peace of mind. The energy is both yin and yang, positive energy and negative energy. Only a select few firebenders can separate these energies. This creates an imbalance. The energy wants to restore balance.
You need peace of mind, something that aligns much more with airbenders. You need balance, something much more reminiscent of waterbending. It flows, it circles, and then strikes! In the same vein, sandbending has similar movements to airbending, so we can see the philosophy of a different bending style applied to another. However, we also have the opposite example in the show itself. You can bring knowledge from other sources, but if you stop looking at just the surface and dig deeper into your main source, you can bring new things into the light. The greatest earthbender of all time did this, leading to the creation of metal bending, a revolutionary art that changed the way the whole bending arts were understood. At the same time, we have blood bending and Hama's teaching. She dug deep into the art of waterbending, pulling new resourceful types of bending into the light and teaching them to Katara. So Aang is not the only one to have influences from other elements. The Avatar may be the only one that can master them, but we rarely see them go beyond the surface level, which is why they rarely expand to do, let's say, lava bending or metal bending in their own rights, at least until Aang's generation. He was the first to learn lightning redirection, and after him, Korra actually learned metal bending. Of course, this philosophy of the elements is not something exclusive to a fantasy series like Avatar. We can apply it to our own lives, just by drawing influences from other cultures and even languages. Even just learning a new word or simple things like looking to the media of a different culture, anime, can help us understand our own culture better. I speak 4 languages. Think of it as 4 different bending styles. For my whole life, I've practiced them, I've spoke them, I've used them every day. But once I started learning Japanese, a 5th element, I gained so much perspective into the last ones I spoke. This new language helped me connect to the last ones. And that is what Iroh is teaching us in a way, to apply new things to the old and old things to the new. This philosophy of the elements is something we sadly lost when we moved into the sequel show. The Legend of Korra has fight styles centered more around mixed martial arts. They implement different techniques and it's the ultimate evolution of the previous show, but the elements lose a sense of individuality on a grander scale. They lose what makes them unique. We don't know at what point one element, firebending, starts and at one point waterbending ends, because they all follow the same mixed pattern. We do see glimpses of the old in Season 1 with Korra training airbending and firebending in the very first episode, but we lose that as we go along. However, we see a different part of the philosophy at play in this series. Let's look at lava bending for a moment. Lava bending probably requires an earthbender with firebender blood. This is just a theory, but let's look at Bolin. As besides of a villain we know little about and the Avatar, since Roku did some lava bending, he's our only real example. Earthbender? Check. Firebender lineage? Well, his brother is a firebender, so check. He's our primary example. However, the movements of lava bending are much more fluid, resembling water bending. So, you need that too, which the other villain has as well. So we can see what makes it rare compared to other subbending styles. It requires a lineage unheard of until the era of Aang, as well as knowledge of different tribes, which was something you couldn't easily accomplish before Aang, before the expansion of the Fire Nation. In a way, it mirrors our world and how globalized it has become. These requirements for lava bending may also be the reason why Bolin couldn't learn metal bending, a technique that probably requires the purity of earthbender blood. This, like the mixed martial arts technique shown in the Legend of Korra, is the ultimate example of Iroh's philosophy, how cultures come together to create something new. I know this better than anyone, being of both Brazilian and German heritage, who also grew up in Spain, another different culture. Heck, I'd probably be the best example of lava bender here. This diversity is something we need in the world and something we couldn't achieve until now, because now we travel out more and we mix cultures so much more. But it doesn't mean we should forget what made us unique, like the elements in the Avatar series seem to. They forgot. Well, we do need to grab things from different sources so we don't grow stale. We also need to make sure that we don't stick to the surface and dig deep into the culture we're learning from, even our own. Otherwise, we'll lose what makes them beautiful in the first place. We'll lose what makes them unique.